ESOF is Europe's largest general science meeting and is held in a leading European city every second year. In 2014, ESOF was hosted at the Carlsberg City in Copenhagen. The meeting was a unique opportunity for leading scientists, young researchers, students, entrepreneurs, journalists, and the general public to discuss new discoveries and debate how science can or should shape our future. One of the hot subjects was the possibility that biosensors offer in monitoring personal health and quality of life. This was addressed in the session, How Much Do You Want to Know About Yourself?, organized by nanotech professor Anja Boisen.
I think sensors and biosensing and how much we want to know about ourselves is very interesting because we have the ability now to do these tests, and we didn't have this like 10 years ago. So I feel that it's been, crawling, the technology has just barely been developed, and now it's really taking off. So, I think this is the right moment to inform also the general public what's going on and what will be the possibilities in the very near future.
Or pocket tests of all sorts in our pocket for food allergens, toxicity, drinking water testing, basically you name it.
We've been further miniaturizing this test. So my lab at Columbia has been working with Opco Diagnostics in a collaboration also with a number of different partners to bring this to even the most remote villages in Africa. And so this is done in Rwanda with a number of public health partners and the Ministry of Health in Rwanda as well, where we looked at over 400 patient samples for HIV and syphilis. So this works for a range of indications, not only prostate cancer, but infectious diseases as well. So each card, again, $2 to $5, and you can get up to 10 different markers at the same time. One finger prick drop of blood, just like a glucose test, you get the result in 15 minutes. So the entire instrument, we shrunk it down to this little dongle here that you could actually plug into a phone. And this dongle costs only about $20. So it's something that actually can be purchased one time or given away. And it's got this separate chip here, which is about $2 to $5 that you put a finger prick of blood and get it tested on.
If you want to build a biosensing device that can have a real impact on the people's life, you need to think about the whole value chain. So very often scientists stop at the microfluidics, someone go to the readout, very few things about the usability. But actually it's really important to keep track of what's going on also after that. How the data could be connected to the world, how the data could be managed and visualized in order to help decision makers, and of course the most important thing, how they can trigger suitable action in order to fight, in this case, for example, this disease.
And this protein super is something that everybody has, but if you have a disease, you get more of it. But what's interesting is that if you have a certain disease, then those with most super or most inflammation in the body, they have a worse prognosis. They have a higher risk of mortality. So basically, if you have a high super, it's not so good. Something is going on, risk of mortality, severity of disease, getting worse, aggressiveness of disease. While if it's low, it's good.
In this movie, you will see you take a biopsy, you divide it in clusters, in spirets, and then you treat it. This is a reference, no treatment, but only the media. You can see the movement, you can see they're growing in size, their internal structure is changing. This is the treatment. So in 2 days we can say, this is the right combination of chemo for this patient.
So where are we going with this? How much is going to get to the consumer without being in the healthcare system? And isn't this a challenge to the whole system?
Health, for some reason, up to now is one of the few areas in society that's really closed off to the consumer. And I don't, the freedom of speech, we can actually download, crazy videos on YouTube on making bombs and stuff like that. And, technology is neutral. It can go either bad or, good or bad. But for some reason, consumers have not had the ability to monitor what goes on inside their own body.
Well, I just add that I fully agree. I mean, I think it's the technology now is causing us to question the whole structure of the system. We've had a 5,000-year-old paradigm of the physician, of us going to the physician and them handling and possessing the information. Now the opportunity is there technologically for us to possess the information. It's complex. It involves whole government structures. You might say the whole health service needs to be rethought from bottom up or top down. The business paradigms are different. Really, everything is up for grabs at the moment.
A short question to you, Jesper. Would you imagine that this kind of test would be carried out, that I could go down and get a test anywhere? I could test myself, basically.
I think it depends on whether you can actually do something about the result. If you can kind of get a death sentence, then it's not really interesting to do a test. But if it says, okay, similar to the blood sugar, well, then you may take your medication. In the same way, if you can take an anti-inflammatory statin or something, if your low-grade inflammation level is becoming too high, maybe you should change your lifestyle, or maybe we can have a magic pill at a certain time point. But until you can do something with the answer is not interesting.
I'll just give a very quick answer. I'll take the test. Because even if there's no cure, I personally want to know. And I think this is a matter of freedom of personal choice. But of course, that has to be done in a regulated and informed environment with the right support. And maybe society also will need time to adjust in a bit of the same way as the HIV testing. Although the treatment also caught up, I think there can be an adjustment in society. But ultimately, I would like the freedom to know.
And with that, I think we'll end this session. I wish we had an hour or more, because we could, keep discussing this. There are tons of interesting points. But I hope you'll all come up here, and I would like to thank all the speakers: Anthony Turner, Philippa Bosco, Sam Sia, Jesper Olsen, and Tom Olsen. Thank you very much.
No doubt, biosensing will impact our future. But how and why should this technology be implemented? And who will have access to the data?
Of course, it does raise ethical issues. Who owns that information? Is it, the obvious answer is, I do. I own my information, and the patient owns their information, the person owns their information. So how do they share that, and how do they share that in a secure fashion? Who should know? Should the doctors know? Do you want to tell the doctor? Do you want to tell the insurance company? Do you want to tell the government? Do you want to tell the pharmaceutical company? Well, there's benefits and there's downsides. There's a lot to sort out.
There's all sorts of things that will tell me how I'm doing in response to my diet, in response to any changes in exercise, which people do all the time. They weigh themselves, but I think information like this is just much more precise. And I like to track. I like to track my own health, like I track my bank account information or whatever. You just kind of want to see how things are going and adjust accordingly.
So I think that with these technologies being available, one day we'll start testing on ourselves. And then the question is whether I'm ready to do this myself. I think so, yes. At least I'm very curious, and I would like to know if there's something I can do to improve my health. I would very much like to know. I think if I have an incurable disease where I have no means to do anything, but whenever I have the possibility to change something to improve my health, yes, I would like to know.
And what we thought now is the technology has reached a point where we can not just print sensors, but print the whole instrument. So we can print the battery, the display, the circuitry, and put everything on a piece of paper. And also, do people want to know? We had today the discussion, if you're going to die in 4 years, do you want to know if there's nothing you can do about it? Some people would not want to know. I want to know. I would adjust the rest of my life and what I did with that information. I'd like to know.